Hi everyone, my name's Lou Sims and welcome to my channel. Today I'm doing something a little bit different. I'm going to be actually printing on an old stained t-shirt that I've got. I'm going to use my jelly plates. I've got some metallic paints to start with and a fabric medium. I actually want to make the project so I can wear it afterwards. Um, I love white t-shirts. I'm just one of these sort of people that as soon as I put anything white on, it's mucky before I've even left my bedroom, and I don't know how. I haven't actually ironed my t-shirt because I actually think the crinkles and the creases in there could add a little bit of texture. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to set up and we're going to get printing together and see what comes about. There's actually no plan in my head other than I thought I've got lots of different size plates and I just thought we'd just go for it and see what happens from there. So, going to get sorted and I'll be back. Right, I've put a piece of card behind here so it doesn't go through to the back. I'm not going to pin my card in place to start with because I actually thought, you know, when you put the plate down and pull it, it might change how things look. And, you know, with the creases and everything like that, it might just add an unusual texture. I'm focusing on the areas where I've got the main stainage, but then I might get bigger, I might, you know, and make the pattern grow. But it's going to be one of those things that I'm just going to create for the sake of. And I think that's the cool part about it. Now, I'm using DecoArt metallic paints to start with, and I'm using the DecoArt fabric medium. And all the instructions are on the back there. It says it's a washable, permanent fabric medium, mixing with any acrylic. Pre-wash, which I have done, and it's a 2-to-1 to paint. So 2 lots of the fabric medium to 1 lot of paint. It says apply with a brush or sponge, and it can be heat set within 30 seconds. Ooh, we're not going to do that. I'm going to apply it obviously with my jelly plate and just see where we go from there. So I'm going to start up building some blocks of pattern first. And I'm going to then bring in some stencils and just keep building the design until I'm actually happy with it. So let's get started. Right, I'm going to start with my 7x5 plate, and as you can see, it's not clean, and I think that will be part of the fun of the experiment. Now, it says fabric medium. You could mix yours in a pot. I've been experimenting on scrap bits of material, and I've just actually put the medium on the plate and mixed it in with the paints as I've gone along, and I found when I've washed it, it works perfectly. It does give a little bit more of a grungy look, but that's the look I'm going for rather than a perfect print after washing. Right, so what colour to begin with? Right, so they're my 2-to-1 with the paints, as you can see. And then let's get a brayer and we'll just start mixing these together. And I'm going for starting off with a light colours or a light build up of paint to begin with, because I can always add in depth, but I can't take it away as such. Ooh, look at that. But I'm not going to waste that on there. I'm going to pull a print off that in a minute. But this is my initial base to start with. So let's now think about building up some other colours. I think, right, I'm going to grab some matte colours now and I'll be back. Right, so I've got some matte colours and I've gone for a true red. And I'm going to use my little 3x5 plate. So let's just put that on the block as well, because it just makes it easier to lift up. Oh, and it's nearly dry. Ooh, that's a bonus. Now, obviously doing the fabric mediums the way I'm doing it is you can mix it in a little pot if you prefer to do it this way. I just think it's fun sometimes to have a little bit of an experiment and a play. The one thing you will know doing it this way is that the paint feels like it's slipping a little bit more, but that's cool. Right, let's go for... So I'm going to start by just putting solid colours down to begin with, and then adding all the different detail that I want to add. Well, that's looking good. So I'm going to go for next, I think I'm going for one of the smaller shapes, which is the diamond. I'm going to bring in some other patterns, and I think I'm going to go for a teal. Okay, so that's my base layer, and it looks a little bit at the moment. So what I'm going to do next is I'm just going to give that a little time to dry, but I'm going to let it dry naturally, and I'll be back and we'll start building up our layers from there. It's not quite dry in places, but the impatience in me is, I've got to keep going. Got to keep going. Right. Now this time I'm just going to do a plain layer of paint because I've got my base layer down. I will add some more fabric paints, and oh, look at that, where I haven't cleaned my brayer. That looks cool. I don't want it to go all the full way over. I'm just going to put a stencil on top. Do you want to do it at an angle? Yeah, let's do it at an angle. I'm hoping, I'm just, by pushing the stencil down, I'm hoping it will stick to the paint and the jelly plate, so when I lift it up on the block, everything will stay in place. She says, fingers crossed. Oh, look at that. And I've got a cool pattern there. Take that off. And I should have... let's have a think. Should we risk it? Yeah. Let's just try it there. Okay, it hasn't come out as clearly, but it's slowly building up the pattern. So I'm going to do a ghost print of this, and then I'm going to do this again, and we'll gradually build up the colour and the depth. I've actually decided that whilst I love the white here, I think actually it needs to be somewhat a little bit darker. So let's try again, but this time I'm going to do it, put the stencil. I'm going to take a darker blue. Now I know I put the fabric paint into the first few layers, but I'm going to risk it and see the layers that I'm putting on top are the grungier layers. So therefore, you know, if they don't last in the wash, I'm not going to cry, because they're the different grungier layers that I'm looking for. Oh, I know it's looking a little bit of a hot mess at the moment, but I'm going to leave that now just a little bit to dry naturally, and I'll be back. Okay, so I'm going to do a little bit of stenciling, I think, before I do any more layers with my jelly plate. I'm going to use cut and dry foam and my acrylic paints, and I'm going to mix them up on my mat with the fabric medium. So I'm just going to make a little bit of space so I can actually do that. Okay, I mixed that off camera, but I used a paintbrush rather than my sponges, so I'm going to use the paintbrush now. Oh, that's looking cool. Gonna do it again, but I think I'm gonna use white. But let's just quickly clean off that stencil. Otherwise, I'll get pink, and I don't want pink. Now I'm mixing this off camera. I apologise. It's running out of space here. But all I'm doing is on my mat is putting down paint and fabric medium together and then just mixing them together. Now you could have these in little pots already pre-mixed. I find that if I do it as I go along is better, and I don't waste paint or the fabric medium as well. So this time I'm going to use a sponge to create a totally different effect. And I've got a little bit of that red left over, so let's just use it up and just put it in the center. I'm actually loving how this is now starting to look and build up. I'm going to carry the same stencil, but I'm going to put it lower down on the t-shirt, so it's just the stencil. So if you bear with me, I need to jiggle around with the cardboard. Okay, quick jiggle around, and let's bring this stencil in place. This is a Gelli Arts stencil. And I'm just going to brayer off some of the colour off the stencil. I don't mind if it goes on the t-shirt, but it's just getting rid of some of the paint. And I think we'll go for the red again, but this time rather than metallic, I'm going to go for a flat opaque. Oh, cool. And can you see where it's creasing up down here? So now I've got an extra layer of texture and depth, and that's coming out. And I like the effect with the brush. Right, let's just quickly clean off the stencil again. Right, now I'm going to go and leave this to actually dry before I then start building up the next amount of layers. Okay, whilst the t-shirt has to dry properly, I thought it'd be nice to make some decoration up. And I've got some felt, and it's not very thick felt, as you can see, because you can see the cardboard. Let's take off the label from it, though, because we don't need that. And it's just a hobby felt. And I thought what I want to do is, because it's quite stretchy, it would go on the t-shirt. I'm going to tie it up with some Aleene's stretchy fabric glue, but I'll show you that a bit later. And as I said, this is just going with the flow and making myself some embellishments. And I'm going to use the smaller jelly plates that I've got, just so I can bring those sort of embellishments in place, because I just thought they could be nice features. And that's just why the t-shirt's drying. So let's just get the circle one out. I'm going to put it on a block only because I find it easier to take the jelly plate to the material rather than the other way round. And that's the only reason for it. It's just my personal preference. So let's get going with some different colours. And I'm going to go for some flat colours. And I'm going to do the 2-to-1 with the fabric paint again. Okay, so we've got those going there. So let's just get some more designs going in. I'm just going to clean off my brayer on where I've been cleaning up stencils, because these will make great background prints. Okay, let's do some decorating. And I'm not going to do overly complicated printing processes, because I just think it'd be nice just to see where this goes. So let's have a little bit of the blue and the red. And I'm going to put a little bit of the fabric medium in the middle. As you can see, technical science for me. No. Yay, so I've got that pattern, and then I've got it. Let's see if the pattern will come off this. It might be a little too dry. Yeah, it's a little too dry, but that's fine. You need quite a lot of paint to print onto your fabrics. But I've got some paint on there. I wonder if I could get that to come off. And it's given me a little bit of a layer. So these are like my layers of fun, as it were. As I said before, this is not the precise science for mixing everything. I actually want a cleanish sponge, she says, so I can do the white. I've mixed the other one up a bit. Okay, now I know they look a little bit weird and funky, but as I said, we're going with the flow sort of thing. I'm going to put them to one side, let them dry, and just create some more different ideas I've got in my head for embellishments. Whether I use them all, I don't know. Okay, I've got that there, and I've got this here, and I'm going to let these both dry, and then I'm going to start cutting out shapes, and then we'll start making the t-shirt. Right, everything's done. Everything's properly dried, and I've got my element sheets here. I'm going to start cutting these out and creating all the different shapes I want to make. Top tip, only because I thought about it lastminute.com, if I'm honest, try your t-shirt on. And the only reason I say that is so when you come to place all your elements, you don't put them in areas that make them a little bit more predominant than others, if that makes sense. Right, let's grab the scissors and begin cutting these out. Oh wow, I'm so sorry, my video seemed to cut off. Okay, let's do a quick recap. So what I've done was I've cut out my shapes. I had these as diamonds and I didn't quite like them as diamonds. I didn't think they quite went in. So what I've done is I've cut them out into leaf shapes, as you can see here. And all I'm doing now is doing a dry run of where I think all the elements could go. And I like these two together, but I am actually starting to think that I need to have an element either lower down or slightly diagonal. So this one moves across just a little bit. And then I can see some of the printing on these squares, on these circles. We've got that there and that there. And I will probably put the leaves going this way. See, this is my favourite part, and I do say this on a lot of my videos, and I apologise if it's not yours. I love the faffing stage. So I'm looking at doing something a little bit like that. I'm going to stick mine down with a mixture of fabric glues and also with sewing as well. So I'm just going to grab all my fabric glues and we can make a start and see where we should go from there. Right, okay, I went off and I took some photographs of the t-shirt where I had things in a rough place. I pinned them in place, obviously making sure the points are on the outside. And I've taken a couple of photographs. I will show you what I mean. I'm going to drop the photographs in to the video, and you can see why for me, something just wasn't working. The circles, I love the circles. I will keep them, and I love the leaves. I just love their shapes and everything like that. But I think for this project, it just feels like there was a little bit too much bulk going on when I've got all the layers here that I want to stand out just as much as anything else. I could easily sew around, but I'm not sure I want to do that either. So I've gone for the flowers here, but what I'm going to do is, because I've got the same flower imprinted onto the white or the cream felt, I'm going to cut them out and see if they would look good as an added extra. So I'm going to go off and do that, and I'll be back and make a judgment call. Right, I've cut one of them out, so I've just got a pin in my hand. Let's put that down. And I think I prefer them compared to the circle. If I put the circle there, because that's where I'm going to put it, I think I prefer it as the shape of the flower from the stencil. But again, I think if I put two flowers like that, it looks too bulky. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it in half. And then I can have a little bit of a flower there and another little bit of a flower coming through there. And that feels less bulky to me. It just feels like it works just that little bit more. The other plan I had in my head was to actually, see, I can print these again because that would just, I'd have fun doing that. And what'd be even nicer is when I printed it, it would be totally different. The other thing I was thinking of doing is cutting the petals and making them individual and putting them behind, which suddenly makes my flower just that little bit bigger, and it carries on the pattern just that little bit more, and I can play around with them. And I think that is what I'm going to do, is I'm going to extend, sorry, I've just realised you can't see what I've done. That's what I think I'm going to do. I'm going to have a play with these, and I'm going to extend the patterns out. Right, so I'm going to keep these ones pinned, and I'm just going to put my pin there, and I will probably do the same with these ones. Now, what I'm going to use is I'm going to use an Aleene's flexible, stretchable fabric glue. And this glue is a permanent adhesive. You've got to let it dry, but then what it does is it actually bonds to the fibres within my t-shirt. So that means this layer that I will put on will stretch as the t-shirt stretches. So I mean, I've used it on some projects before, mainly things like denim projects. So this is going to be the first time on a t-shirt, and I can't wait, you know, to try it out and see if it works. As I said, this is all about giving things a go. So I'm going to go and stick these areas down, and once they're all stuck down, I'll be back. Right, as you can see, I've stuck that down in place. I'm just going to put those pins away before I stab myself. And I've just put some pins in just to keep it in place. Not because it's going to move, it's more I'm worried that I'm going to knock it when I do exactly the same with these flowers. And just for a little bit of weight, I'm just going to put a paint on the top there, just as my double shore. Because I've got cardboard underneath here, the pins are going into the cardboard, and it'll only need a little while to be tacky to the material, i.e. it won't move off, but it does need a good 12 hours to dry properly. So I'm going to carry on with these bits, and we'll see where I get up to from there. Right, as you can see, I've done this one here and I've pinned it in places. The main reason for the pins is a bit like any glue, until it's had chance to bind to the surface underneath, items are going to move. So the pins are just stopping that and allowing you time. Also, it's a big red flag to me, that I leave it alone now. Right, I'm going to finish off the last one. I'm then going to put it outside to dry, and once it's all dry, we'll take the pins off and see how it goes from there. Right, I've let this cure for a while, so the glue's had chance to adhere to the t-shirt, and I want to take the pins out now, and then I can then see if there's any areas that maybe I need to put a little bit more glue on, or, you know, because obviously I've got layers on top of layers in some places. So I'm just going to take the pins out, and we can then make a judgment about whether we need to add any more glue, or I'm happy just to let it sit there. Now, I left this alone for, oh, I'm just trying to think, 2 hours before touching it, and which for me is very good, because normally I would have to poke and prod things and not rush. You know, or should I say, I want to make it rushed, you know what I mean? I want it to dry, and I want it to dry now as such, like that. Now, any holes left over from the pins, they will go once I wash this. So let's just move it forward. So, okay. Now, before washing this, I would leave this at least a proper full 24 hours just to make sure everything has gone off properly. Right, here we go. Oh, I put some pins away. So I've got a little bit there that I would need to consider. Do you know, actually, I quite like the idea that there might be some movement. I don't know, we'll see. I say that now, and then this project has been about me changing my mind all the way along, but you never know. Right, so let's take out the cardboard now, because I don't need the cardboard inside. And we've got the cardboard going on inside there. Okay. Right, there we go. So that is now my t-shirt. So as I said, this needs to just cure just a little bit more. But where I've used that glue, the pieces now will stretch with the t-shirt, which is really, really cool, which means I can wear the t-shirt and not have parts that are absolutely rigid. These areas will actually, you know, move and go with the natural stretch. I don't have to worry about how the t-shirt stretches. It does that. So that now is what my finished piece. Or what I'm going to do is I'm going to let it, you know, do its thing, cure properly, not interrupt it. I'm going to put it through the washing machine. Reading the instructions, it says a 30-degree wash, no fabric conditioner at all. You know, on a gentle spin. So I'll do that. Let it hang up naturally in the garden to dry, especially now as we've got some good weather. And I'll take some photographs, hopefully of myself wearing it. I'm not overly in love with taking pictures of myself, but we'll see. And, you know, and that's my project finished. And I just wanted it to be a go with the flow project. So I appreciate that some of the patterns might not be everybody's cup of tea, but for me, I'm quite liking it. I can see like a rough sort of heart shape now in there. I could build up more pattern here. I might add an embellishment or two, like something like I love a sequin. I've got loads, a sequin or two here, or even a button. I don't fancy a button, she says, but you never know. But thank you ever so much for watching and just going with the flow with me. So get your jelly paints out, and get, you know, get printing on upcycling different things. Create different backgrounds. It doesn't have to be complicated layered printing. It can be straightforward, simple printing. Bring in your acrylic paints, your different acrylic paints. Bring in your different fabric mediums. I've got two, both by GelliArts. And then that makes this washable. The glue, as I said before, was an Aleene's glue, and it's for stretchy fabric. Where is it? Let's have a look. What's it called? Here it is. It's called Flexible Stretchable, and it's designed to go for fabric that has a stretch on it, and it says it'll dry clear and it's washable. So basically I've created a piece now that I can use going forward, you know, use it in lots of different ways. And it's bespoke, because I won't be able to make that again. Right, that was a lot of waffle to say, sort of thing, roughly what I did. But thank you ever so much for your time, for your company today. If you're new to the channel, please do hit subscribe, like, the notifications. And I look forward to seeing you soon. I have another GelliArts project in mind that I want to try out as well and make it a go with the flow project. Take care and see you all soon. Bye.